Hello and welcome back to another session on data structures and algorithms. And in this particular session, we are going to solve a problem based on arrays. So the name of the problem is minimum consecutive flips. Now what exactly the problem is, let me explain you step by step. So you are actually given an array, and this particular array is a binary array which contains only ones and zeros. There is no other number apart from ones and zeros which will be present inside this particular array. Now all that you need to do is, you need to flip all the ones to zeros or all the zeros to ones, so that in this particular array you will have only zeros or only ones. So that is what you need to do. Now while doing this, there is a restriction. While doing this, the number of flips that you do should be minimal. That how is that you are going to flip is something that you need to understand very well, because over here you have group of zeros and ones. So this is considered to be group of ones, this is considered to be group of zeros, this is considered to be group of one, this is considered to be group of zeros, this is considered to be group of ones, this is considered to be group of zero, and this is considered to be group of one. So whenever you are flipping, you are not flipping a single element, you are flipping the whole group. So basically what I mean to say is, whenever you are flipping both of these ones to zeros, or you are flipping all three zeros to ones, or you are flipping this particular one to zero, or you are flipping these two zeros to ones. So in case if you are flipping all these three zeros to ones, it is considered to be one flip. If you are flipping these two ones to zeros, then it is considered to be one flip. Now while flipping, you need to ensure the number of flips that you do is minimal. What exactly I mean by this is, in this particular example, we have multiple group of zeros and multiple group of ones. So let me count how many group of zeros are there and how many group of ones are there in this question. So if I observe this is one group of ones, this is the second group of ones, this is the third group of ones, and this is the fourth group of one. So there are four groups of ones in this. Next, if I observe the group of zeros, this is one group of zeros, this is another group of zero, and this is another group of zero. So totally there are three group of zeros and four group of ones. So if I have to flip from 1 to 0, then I have to make 4 flips. In case if I have to flip 0 to 1, I have to make 3, which is minimal in this. Converting or flipping zeros to 1 is minimal. So now when I am flipping zeros to 1s, I need to print these ranges. So I don't have to print 3, rather what I need to print is the range of zeros is what I need to print whichever I am flipping. So basically I will be flipping from year to year, that is from index 2 to index 4. So I need to print 2 to 4, 2-4. Next after this, I need to see, I am flipping these zeros. So index is 6 and 7. So it's starting from 6 and ending at 7. So I need to say 6-7. Next after that, there is one more group left out, that is 0. And it's starting from index 10 and ending at index 10. So I need to print 10-10. So these are the number of groups that I am flipping, and the number of groups that I am flipping is nothing but 3. So I need to print all those 3 different groups. So this is what your problem is. I hope the problem is completely clear to you guys. Now try to write the code by yourself, and then in case if you are not able to write the code, then you can come and watch this video. But while writing this code, ensure that the time complexity of this particular code has to be big O of n. I hope that you have tried solving this particular problem. In case if the time complexity of the algorithm that you have written is not big O of n, totally fine. But I just hope you have at least written the algorithm. So in case if you are not able to write an algorithm, or if your if the time complexity of your algorithm is not big O of n, it's totally fine. Now observe this particular thing, whatever I am showing, you will clearly understand this problem is very easy. And one thing I want you to see, when you directly see a problem, it might look complicated. But if you take multiple examples, you can understand that the problems will be much easier than you think. So what I am going to do over here is, I am going to take multiple examples over here and I am going to show some pattern in this particular thing. So when you see that particular pattern, you will clearly understand this problem is damn easy. So what is that? Let me take one example and explain it to you. For example, in this particular array, you can see there are ones and zeros. So there are multiple group of ones and multiple group of zeros. So let me see how many group of ones are there. So this is one group of one, this is another group of one, and the last one is another group of one. So basically there are three group of ones, and if you observe, there are two group of zeros in this. So there are three group of ones and two group of zeros. So you know which is minimal in this. Minimal is nothing but zeros. So what you have to actually flip is the group of zeros. I hope this particular example is clear to you. I will show a pattern in this, but what is that pattern? Let me explain the other two examples and then come back to this. So what I will take another array now. Now observe this particular array. In this particular array, there are two group of zeros and there is one group of ones. So group of ones is 1, group of zeros is 2. So which is that I need to flip? Whichever is minimal. Which is minimal? Group of ones is minimal. So I need to print, I need to flip group of ones. Let me take another example. So over here I have group of zeros and ones, and if you observe, there is 1, 2, 3 group of ones and 2 group of zeros in this. So which is that I need to flip in this case is, I need to flip group of zeros because it is minimal in this case. One thing I need to observe over here is, the difference between group of ones and group of zeros in all these cases is always 1. But that's not most relevant thing. What is most relevant than this is, there is something special about these things. You observe over here. Over here, which is that I am flipping is the group of zeros. And if you observe, which is that element comes at starting, or which is that group that comes first, is nothing but group of ones. So whichever comes first, whichever group first comes first, I am not printing that. Sorry, I am not flipping that. Rather, I need to flip the group that comes second in this particular case. Now let's observe whether the same thing applies for the other two cases. So if I take this particular array over here, in this, what I need to flip is group of ones because it appears only once. Now observe, the first group is nothing but a group of zeros and the second group is the group of ones. So whichever group is first, I am not flipping it. Whichever group is second, I am flipping it. So this pattern works in both the cases. Let's see in the third example. In this particular example, you have group of ones and group of zeros. Which is the group that comes first is group of ones. Which is that comes second is group of zeros. And which one am I flipping? The group that comes second. So the same pattern works for all the three examples. And if you take any other example, it will work in this manner. So this is the pattern that I wanted to show. Now, few people who are actually thinking, they will think there is some other cases also which it may not work. So which is that case that you are thinking? Let me show it to you over here. So these are the cases. Now if you observe over here, the group of ones is 1 and 1, I mean 1 and 2. So there are two group of ones and two group of zeros. So both are equal. In this case, which is that I need to flip? Both are minimal. You can flip anything you want. So which one I will flip? In my cases, I will flip the second group itself, and the question also states in the same way. And in this case also, if you observe, the group of zeros is 2. There are two group of zeros and two group of ones. So they are equal. So you can flip any. So which I am going to flip is group of ones, the second one. Next, when I come to the third example, in this third example, what I can do is, I can flip group of zeros or group of ones because the number of group of zeros in this case and the group of ones in this case is 3. So which one I am going to flip is the second group that occurs. Second group is nothing but 0 and 0. So this is a pattern that you have seen. So you know very well, after seeing all these examples, you can conclude one thing. Whichever group comes first, that is not which you are going to flip. Whichever group comes second is the group that you are going to flip. So now, even without traversing this array, even if without going from one end to another end in this particular array, you can just see the first element and then say which is that group you need to flip. Very simple. If I go back to the previous example, in this particular case, which is the group I am flipping is group of zeros, and which is the element I have at starting is 1. So whichever is not equal to the 0th element, that is what I am flipping. If I come over here, in this particular example, which is that I am flipping? I am flipping ones. So what I have in the 0th index? I have the element 0. So whichever is not there in the 0th index, that is what I am flipping. Same thing over here. What I am flipping over here is zeros, and what I have in index 0 is nothing but 1. So whichever is not there in index 0 is what I am flipping. Now, since we already know which is that we need to flip and which is that we should not flip, but according to the question, it's not like should I flip 0 or should I flip 1. That is not what we need to say. Rather, what is that we need to say is, if I take this particular example, in this example I am flipping 0, so I need to print 1 to 4. This is what I need to. Next, after that, I need to say 8 to 9, sorry, 8 to 8 itself. So you need to print the index of the elements that you are actually flipping. So since you already know which is the element that you are flipping, it is easy to find the index now. How to do that? Let's see step by step by taking one single example. Now, if I take this particular example and let's try to write an algorithm for this particular example. So if you see this particular array, in this array there are actually 3 group of 1s and 2 group of zeros. So what is that I need to flip is nothing but a group of zeros. We know that very well. Now what is that has to be printed as an output is nothing but the starting index and the ending index of group of zeros. So in this case, whichever I am flipping is group of zeros, so it is 2 and 3. So 2 and 3 I need to print, and after that over here if you observe, it's group of 0 starts from 6 and goes up till 8. So 6 to 8 is what I need to print, means 6-8. So that should be the output. Now how can I approach that particular output is a question. Now I told you at starting that I can solve this particular algorithm in with a time complexity big O of n. Now how is that? Let's see. So since it is big O of n, then definitely I am going to traverse this array once. Now what is that I need to see in this particular array is, I need to find the starting index of all the elements, means of all the groups. Let's see how we can find the starting index. So before I find the starting index, let's start marking the starting index of every group. So I will ignore the first group because anyway we are not flipping it. Second group, it is nothing but 2. I am marking it. Next, another group, that is group of 1s, I am marking it is 4. Then the other group is nothing but group of zeros. Its starting index is 6. Next other one is 9. So I am marking all this starting index of every group. Now if I get the starting index of every group, then later on I will see which are the starting index of group 0 or the group that I need to flip. So first let's mathematically try to find how can I find the starting index of every group. So if you observe in this particular case, so 2, 4, 6 and 9 are the starting index of every group. Now how do I differentiate it from any other index if you ask? Very simple. You see this particular index, it is 2. See the element present in this index, it's 0, and see the element present in the previous index, that's 1. So both of these elements, the index present in the starting index and the previous element is different. Since it is different, that's why we say it as a starting index. Now if I see the starting index of this I have marked 4. So the element present in this is nothing but 1 and the previous element is nothing but 0. Now if I see the another one, so over here if I see it is index 6, so it is nothing but 0 and the previous element is 1, they are different. Again if I go over here, the element present in the in the starting index, that's nothing but 9, and the previous index 9 minus 1, that's nothing but 8, the elements are different. Apart from this, you take any other index, for example I will randomly pick index 8 and the previous index, that's nothing but index 7, the elements are same. Or if I take index 7 and the previous element, they are same. So the element present in the starting index and the element present the previous index are always different. So what I would do on this is, since anyways I am going to traverse this particular array, I need one variable for traversing this array. So the variable I am going to pick is I. So every time I will just make use of this I and I will be traversing this. So I can clearly say the element present in the starting index, nothing but the element present in ith index and I minus 1 index is not equal. Same way, if I say the element present in index 4 and index 3, they are not equal. So index I and index I minus 1, again index I and index I minus 1, again index I and index I minus 1. So one thing I can clearly say, the element present in index I and the element present in index I minus 1, if they are not equal, then that is the starting index. So how do I write that? I will simply say, if AR of I is not equal to AR of I minus 1, then that's the starting index. Now I got all the starting index. I got the starting index of zeros as well as ones. Now in this starting index, I don't want all of them. All that I need is only the starting index of the element that I am going to flip. So in this particular array, which are the elements that I am going to flip is nothing but 0. Why do I say 0? Because I know they are the minimal number of groups. So I told you in the previous examples, how can I find out these things? Very simple. If the element is not equal to this, I mean the element is not equal to the element present in 0th index, then that is the element that I am going to flip. So if you observe in this case, 2 is the starting index. In this starting index, how do I find whether I am going to flip it or not? Very simple. If the element present in this index, if it is not equal to the element present in 0th index, then I am going to flip. Observe another one. See this. This is also a starting index, index 4. In this, the element present in index 4 is 1 and the element present in index 0 is 1. So they are equal. It means I am not flipping it. Next, if I go to index 6, in index 6 I have the element as 0 and index 0 what do I have? I have element 1. So am I going to flip? Yes, because they are not equal. Again, if I go to index 9, in index 9 I have the element as 1 and if I see the element present in index 0, that is also 1, they are equal, so I am not flipping it. So whenever it is equal to the element present in 0th index, then I am not flipping it. If it is not equal to the element present in 0th index, then I am flipping it. So which is the starting index of the element that I am flipping, if you ask me, I need to check one simple condition. The element present in the ith index, that is 0, if that is not equal to the element present in the 0th index, then I am going to flip. So what is the condition I need to write is, if the element present in ith index, AR of 2, that is nothing but 0, if it is not equal to the element present in 0th index, then I am going to flip it. See the other example, that is 6. The element present in index 6 is 0. Is 0 not equal to 1? Yes, condition true. So I am going to flip it. So if I write one more condition, that is this particular condition, if AR of I is not equal to AR of 0. If this condition is also true, then that is the starting index of the element that I am flipping. So I have clearly shown over here 2 and 6 is what I want, and 2 and 6 are the only cases where this particular condition is going to be true, or this condition is going to pass. So what I am going to do in that case is, I need to print these particular indexes. So that's nothing but 2 and 6, and that's what has been printed over here. So I will say print I. Now till now half of the problem is already solved. Now what I need to do is, I need to find the ending index. Now how do I find the ending index? Very simple. If you have understood till here very clearly, and if you just think for a while, you can clearly find the ending index just by observing this particular array. You don't have to think much, just observe this array. What is that observation that you have to make? Is very simple. Now I had found so many starting index. Which are the starting index that I had found? 2, 4, 6 and 9. I have marked all of these 4. In this, which are the elements that I am actually flipping? It's nothing but the index 2 and index 6. So I have selected only 2. So which are the other 2 that I have not selected? Index 4 and index 9. So these are the 2 index which I have not selected. Now I want you to observe one thing. Over here it is the starting index of 1. So definitely the previous index will be the ending index of the other element, that's nothing but 0. So index 4 is the starting index of 1. So this is the ending index of 0. Same thing if I go over here. Index 9 is the starting index of 1. So index 8 is nothing but the ending index of 0. So if you observe, what is that I need to print over here? What is that I need to print is 3 and 8. So 4 minus 1 is nothing but 3. That is what I am printing. 9 minus 1, that's nothing but 8. That is what I am printing over here. So basically, I will first check whether it is a starting index or not. If it is a starting index, I need to check whether it is a starting index of the element I am flipping. And how do I check? By saying if AR of I is not equal to AR of 0. In this case, I will get the starting index of the element that I am flipping. If this is not the case, you know the previous element, which is in which cases it fails. It fails in index 4 and it fails in index 9. If it fails in index 4 and 9, I can say that 4 minus 1 is the ending index of 0 and 9 minus 1 is the ending index of 0. So what I need to do is, I will come to else part over here and I will say print I minus 1, and that I minus 1 will actually print me the ending index, that is 3 and 8. So this is the algorithm that I need to write. Now this conditions whatever I have written, these things has to be written inside a for loop because I am actually traversing this particular array. So from where to where am I traversing? I am traversing from index 0 till index 10. I hope the algorithm is completely clear to you guys. So if you had observed the question at starting, it looked more complicated, but if you see, you can just write one for loop and two if conditions and you can solve the problem. So if you observe, the code is minimal, but the thinking is more. So how can you build this thinking? By solving more and more and more and more problems. So now what we are going to do is, let's write down this code and check whether it's actually working for all the different test cases or not. Now let's write some code by implementing this particular algorithm. So I have already created an array, and this array is same as the example that I have explained to you guys. So what I need to do is, I just have to start writing the code for this. So I'll start by for loop. So I'll say for, I need to start from 0th index and go to the last index. So I'll say int I is equal to 0, I is less than AR dot length. Yes. Next, every time the value of I is increasing by 1, so I'll say I plus plus. Yes. Now inside this for loop, there are certain conditions I need to write. So the first thing is, I need to check whether it is starting index of an element or not. So how do I check? Very simple. I will say if, yes, I will say AR of I is not equal to the previous element. So not equal to the previous element, AR of I minus 1, that's it. So if this condition is true, then I clearly know that this is the starting index. But this can be the starting index of the element that I am flipping and the element that I am not flipping. So I need to find, is it the starting index of the element that I am flipping? How do I check that? I need to see whether the value present in the ith index, is it equal to this element or not equal to this element? I mean to say equal to the first element or not. How do I check that? I will say by writing if AR of I, if it is not equal to the element present in 0th index, only then only then it is considered to be the group that I am flipping. So what I will say? I will say not equal to AR of 0. Yes. If this is the case, then this is the starting index of the group that I am flipping. So what is that I need to do? I just have to print that particular index. So what I will say? I will say system.out.println, and after that I will say I. Yes. Next, if this is not the case, then I know that that was the starting index of the element that I am not flipping. But one thing I can get out of it is, the previous index is nothing but the ending index of this particular group. So what I will do is, I will just say else, and inside that I will say system.out.println, and after that I minus 1. Yes. So this is nothing but the, when will it come to this place is, whenever the starting index is not equal to the element that I am flipping. But I know very well, in this case it will come in case of 4, but I know very well index 3 is nothing but the ending index. So I am printing I minus 1. So I will get index 2 as well as index 3. So 2 will be printed over here and 3 will be printed over here. Same way I need 6 and 8. So 6 will be printed in this one and 8 will be printed in this one. I hope it's completely clear to you. But before I execute, I want to do a small change over here. What is that change if you ask me? Very simple. Anyways, you are not going to flip this first group. It is very clear to you. So what is that I need to do is, instead of starting from 0th index, I can directly start from index 1, because the second group can start from index 1 itself. This can be 1 and this can be 0 as well. So what I need to do is, I will directly start the value of I from here. So what is that I need to do over here is, I will say I is equal to 1. And this change will actually help you because in case if you say I and I minus 1, it will give you index out of bounds exception. So that's how I am fixing this particular exception. I want you to just try it for 0. Definitely it will give you index out of bound exception. Now let's execute this and check whether we are getting the expected output or not. So let me execute this. So if I execute, I am getting 2, 3, 6, 8. Yes, the answer is correct. But I wanted it as 2-3 then 6-8. What are the changes I need to do? Very simple. After printing 2, 2 is printed over here. I should not go to the next line. So I should not write println. I will remove this println. This is one change. After printing I need one hyphen before, after that. So I will concatenate one hyphen. So plus and one hyphen. Yes, I have put one hyphen. This is all I have to do. Now let me save this and now let me execute and check if I am getting the expected output. Yes, if you see, it's coming over here, that is 2-3 and 6-8, and this was the expected output. Now what I would like to do is, I would like to do a small modification. What is that modification if you ask? Over here I have 3 group of 1s and 2 group of 0s. Now I will make it as 2 group of 0s and 2 group of 1s. How would I do that? Last 2 1s I will remove from this array. Now what I would like to do is, I will like to execute this. Now if you observe, one change has happened. 2 and 3, that's nothing but these two index, and after that this and this it should print, but it's printing index 6, but it's not printing the last index. What should be the last index? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It should have printed 8 over here, but it is not printing 8. Why? I want you to find it out and fix that particular problem. I hope you found the bug and you fixed it. In case if you have not fixed it, I want you to observe one thing that I am going to show here now. Now, in the previous example it worked, but in this example it didn't work. Why? Because in the previous example, the group of zeros and the group of ones was not equal. And in this particular example, the group of zeros and group of ones are equal. How many group of ones we have? 2. How many group of zeros we have? 2. So we have 2 groups of zeros and 2 groups of ones. So whenever the group of zeros and the group of ones are equal, it will never print that last element. So in case if I execute this, I will just execute this particular thing. So if you execute, this element has not printed. Only the last one will not print if the groups are equal. So which is that index I need to print? Very simple. The last index is what I need to print over. So when do I need to print this last index? When, if you ask me, whenever the group whenever the group of zeros and the group of ones are equal, that is when I attempt to print. Now how do I get to know whether the group of zeros and the group of ones is equal or not? Very simple. If the element present in index 0 and the element present in the last index, if they are different or if they are not equal, then the group of ones and the group of zeros are equal. So how I can write is, after coming out of this loop, I will come outside and I will say, if the element present in 0th index, AR of 0, and the element present in last index, how do I get the element present in last index? It's nothing but array AR, so I will say array AR, and the last index is nothing but the length of the array minus 1, so I will say AR dot length minus 1. So AR dot length will give me the index value, the length of this array, and the last index will be always minus 1. Now if they are not equal, if the element in these two indexes are not equal, then I know that then a group of zeros and group of ones are equal. So what is that I need to print? I just have to print the last index value. So what is the index value of this? er.length minus 1. So I'll say system.out.println er.length minus 1. er.length minus 1. Let me save this and execute this. So if I execute, you have clearly got 2, 3, 6, 8. I will put 1 over here so that we will check whether it's working for other examples as well. So 1 and 1 comma 1 you can put. Now in this particular case, what happens is this condition fails, so it will not execute, and you clearly know that this will execute. So what I will do is I will just run this and check whether it's working or not. So you can clearly see it's working. So I hope this particular problem is completely clear to you guys, and I would suggest you to solve more and more problems like this so that you cultivate this logical thinking and you see step by step how the problem can be solved.